Welcome to Surrounded by Sports, the podcast. I'm here with Coach Wade McKinney, the head coach of historic Pensacola High School Tigers. Coach, how are you doing?
Doing great, man.
Good, man, good. Now we're here. It's a helmet giving out day. Everybody's excited?
Yeah, we're doing helmets, lockers, start Monday, so got a lot going on. Cutting the grass, getting it ready, painting the field.
Start spring practice on Monday.
It starts Monday, so when you call for football players, you always get a handful you hadn't seen. So trying to get their paperwork in. It's a lot right now. So
right.
But, hey, it's exciting time.
It's exciting.
It's exciting time.
Year two.
Move the pieces around and see what we can do.
Right. I'm your host, Kevin Perkins, and today I hope we're going to learn a little bit about Coach McKinney here, his path to the head coaching job, what got him motivated to be a coach, and then the moving from being just being a coach and assistant all the way up through being a head coach, and where he gets those things from. Talk about leadership and how what we do in the past molds us to be what we wind up being.
That's right.
If we can talk about all that, that'd be good.
Yeah, that's great, man. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All that and more after this.
You are watching Surrounded by Sports, hosted by Kevin Perkins. This show emphasizes how sports and life intersect while showcasing the Gulf Coast.
All right, welcome back. First of all, let's talk PHS football. You're heading into the spring. You talked about all the stuff you got to do. The last period of time now between like Christmas and now is individual development, right? They have to do a lot of that on their own.
Yeah, they do a lot of that. A lot of them got individual trainers. I mean, we got weightlifting class. We lift weights in that class, but it's a 50-minute period. Mm-hmm. A lot of them nowadays, though, they do extra. Mm-hmm. Personal trainers in the afternoon. You're seeing more personal trainers than ever now. So they're doing personal trainers, running, trying to get in shape. 707's going on. Mm-hmm. So got a lot of different things. Kids visiting colleges, junior days, stuff like that. So it's a time, that little era right there, coaches can kind of wind down a little bit. Now we're cranking it back up.
Yeah.
But the players, they got to keep it upon themselves to stay in shape. And most of them play football do that.
Right. Now, you said a lot of it's not. There's never an off season anymore.
No.
Right. They go from season to developmental to spring practice to developmental. Right. So, what are the goals? Like, how does the blueprint? You're a second year guy. I think by any metric, last year was a success. And so, what's the change in like the blueprint going into next year?
Well, the blueprint don't change, the players change, the blueprint don't change.
Right, every team's different.
Every team's different, so, we had a big running back last year. This year we don't have that big mule running back. We got good players, good running backs. So,
Mm-hmm.
we gotta adapt to our personnel a little bit.
Right.
So we'll do that, but, we're excited where we're at. We got a lot of young, good players in the program.
Right.
And hopefully we're getting a good ninth grade class in here this year. So we're going to be playing with a lot of young guys on the field, but we think we can have success now with them.
Right. You always think you can have success.
Always.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's talk about that then. Let's go into Wade McKinney a little bit. Now, you told me earlier today, your father was a huge influence.
Huge influence. He coached me coming up, me and my older brother. We played football, baseball, played at Brent when it used to be good baseball. But, he coached me all the way up. Won a lot of championships. Of course, it's in the youth league, but, still a lot of good players played for him. And, he just, I always watched him, how he carried himself and how he done things. And, he's the one that kind of got me into the coaching aspects, because kind of when I graduated, done with school, I was working, and I was close to finishing my degree. I was only like a half a semester from finishing it up.
Right.
So, he'd actually had a bet with me, if I'd go back and finish it up, he would quit smoking. So, but, in hindsight, he ended up getting cancer right there and passing away. So I told him, don't worry about, not quitting smoking. It wasn't going to matter. It was a terminal cancer on his head. So, and I was like, man, you ain't got to worry about that.
Right.
So, but that's the only downside. He taught me a lot, just the way he carried himself and the way he done things. But I wish he was here to watch it today.
Right.
He would just be thrilled to death, and
Right.
he just liked moving the chess pieces and all that stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think too, like, let's don't underestimate what, like, my dad was talking to me. I think my dad was my coach too in Little League, and he talked about, he was in the store the other day. Grown man walks up to him, "Hey, Mr. Perkins, thank you for what you did for me when I was 10 years old.
That's right.
11 years old, 12 years. People knowing other people are invested in their success, whether it be Little League or second grade or third grade, that matters. It helps you build, right? And your father was influential in your life and others' lives.
Yeah, my dad and another guy named Tommy Knoll. Those two, I kind of hung around, worked for those guys, and we ran some businesses. I kind of ran them for them, but those were the two guys that
Mentors.
they're the ones that kind of pushed me and nudged me, because I was like, to be a high school coach, you gotta have that piece of paper,
Right.
Gotta have that degree,
Right.
or you're only gonna go so far as a coach.
Right.
You know it, and I know it's just the way it works. You got to be able to have work at the school to be a head coach, and
Yeah.
not everybody's Ronnie, so you can't,
Right. We're talking about Ronnie Douglas,
That's right. Yeah,
who
right.
runs businesses outside.
Yeah, he does great. That's
and
right.
then
Yeah.
Coaches on the other side. But let's go back to you a little bit too, because you played. You were a Tate guy. You played baseball at Tate. You were 3-year starting
That's
catcher,
right.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
Played for Keith Leonard, which is our superintendent now.
Right.
So,
Right. Do you feel like? Because I feel like I was a catcher too, and I feel like we see things differently
yep.
than people who played other positions. Because first of all, you have a really different relationship with a head coach because you're involved in the
Every play.
carrying out of
The signals, the
Yeah.
defense you're going to run, so you're having to see the whole field as a catcher.
right and macro and micro.
That's right.
Because the coach is okay. This is what they're good at as a team. This is how we stop that. But by the way, this is how that fits in with who we're putting on the pitcher's mound.
That's right.
And then when whoever's on the pitcher's mound changes, game plan changes.
That's right.
And so you're learning how to put in game plans. And also there's a little bit of psychology. Every pitcher's different.
Every pitcher's different.
You know which one you got to go out there and say, hey, man, you're screwing up. You know which one you got to go out there and say, hey, man, everything's going to be okay.
Yep.
That's all prep for coaching, right?
It is. It really is. I always said catchers make good coaches.
Sure.
So, I meant...
Right. And you played defensive back and running back as well. Did you
That's
play
right.
safety or corner?
I played corner, actually. So, we were cover 3 team, but everybody ran the ball back then. So,
Yeah.
I did have a couple interceptions. So, I
There you
was
go.
lucky enough they did throw it to me
Yeah.
every once in a while. But played 2 ways. I was one of the few 2-way guys. So, I know that kids can play 2 ways. I played 2 ways.
Right.
We're going to have kids play 2 ways.
Sure.
Your best guys got to be on the field.
If you can.
If
Right.
they can. That's right. If
Yeah.
they can handle it. That's
Right.
right.
Absolutely. And also, again, you're learning the aspects of both sides of the ball. You're learning the game plan that the defense has. You're learning the game plan that the offense has. You're learning, communication with other guys at that level. Now, you play a little bit of junior college baseball.
Yep.
Right.
I played only a year. Could have
Yeah.
kept playing, but school wasn't in my cards that time. So
Yeah, you went back later.
come back, ended up going back and getting my degree. So
2011, you wound up at Catholic.
2011. Yeah.
And that starts this journey.
Starts the journey. Coach Greg Seibert over there. And then Matt Adams, offense coordinator. So I was working with those guys over there.
Good coaches.
Good coaches, great guys, good coaches. Learned a lot from those guys. So you try to take a little bit from each guy you work for, So when I left over there, I went over to Tate with Ronnie,
Right.
and everything he does, his business model's great. So
Right.
he
Whether
treats
it's outside,
That's
or,
right. So,
outside or inside.
so you're learning a little bit from each guy, you work for, what to do and what not to do.
Right.
So
Right.
and you just got to kind of put your own thing on it,
Right. Now, I can sit. Okay, when I talk to you, like outside of here, right, it's a little intimidating because it feels like you're paying attention to what I'm saying. A lot of times you're talking to people, especially coaches. No offense
Yeah.
to coaches, and it seems like what's the old saying? If we're not talking about me, I'm not listening.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
But it does seem like you are a sponge to what people are telling you, and you're an evaluator. Is that one of your strengths? Is that
If you're not an evaluator as a coach, I mean, you got to get those kids in the right spot. You're always evaluating everything. So
right, but that doesn't matter. But that doesn't matter if you're having a conversation.
I think it's just built in your DNA sometimes.
Right.
It's just the way it is. So.
Right. Has it always been like that for you?
It has.
Is that from your dad's thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's from him, definitely.
Yeah. What about your self-confidence?
I'm a confident guy,
100%.
So, I mean, you got to believe in what you're doing, and that bleeds over into your team. And if you're not confident in what you're doing, your team's looking at how, hey, this guy wavering or is he not,
Right.
So we're going to always go in very confident we believe in what we're doing. We believe it works. We believe we can win a lot of football games, and the only time will tell.
Right. But also, over the course, you can't fake that. Right? There's certain things you can't fake. You can't fake if you like people, because generally speaking, somewhere along the line, you're going to let the tail in.
That's right.
People are going to realize you don't like being around people as much as you act like you do.
Right.
If you're not confident over the course of a year, especially during games, moments are going to happen where they know he ain't really the leader.
That's right.
He's playing a part right now. And you have that innately, and that comes from, it also probably helps. Like Ronnie's similar.
Yeah.
He believes in what he's doing and he does that.
And you got to live with your call, and in the game, we're going to be confident. We've worked it. We're ready for that moment. And if it don't work, hey, it's my fault. You got to take the blame, but you got to be willing to make that call.
Right.
And it's okay. I'm willing to make that call. So.
Right. Because you know that you've done the work to make the call.
That's right. We're not going to call it. If we call it, that means we have practiced it.
Right.
Over and over and over.
Right. Have you ever seen
if we don't execute it, hey, it happens, Of
course.
And sometimes, sometimes you got the right call, and the defensive guy, hey, they make the right call.
Right.
And they blow you up. They just made a good play,
That happens.
It just happens.
Right.
You got to live with it. And that's when you say as a coach, hey, that's on me. That's my fault.
Right. Now tell me this. The community, it feels like, I talked to some of the players, they feel the same way. Like, people are starting to come out and watch more. I noticed myself that the stands were full. I had been to some games that PHS played the year before. They didn't win games, and it's hard for a community to get involved when you're not winning games, right? That's to be fair, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's just the nature of life.
Right.
You're not going. It don't matter. Florida State last year, I guarantee you, look at their stands.
100%.
To the year before.
It happens.
I mean, they didn't have 100,000 in there. They had 50,000 in there.
Right, maybe.
Right. But you know what I'm saying? They're not. People just don't follow the loser. Just don't do it.
That's not the way it works. But having the community involved, how important is that for these kids and their development?
It's huge for these kids to be able, to come out and support. We're trying to get the field where it's looking immaculate out there. So when families and alumni, getting all those guys back in the program, when they come out here, they feel excited again about PHS football and proud because, like you said, we're one of the oldest schools in the state of Florida.
Right.
A lot of tradition over here. Coach Bennett won a state title.
Right.
So, we're just trying to pick up the crumbs and, put those back together, for the fans. And, we're wanting all the alumni, all the people that went to Pensacola High to support us and get behind us. And, it's an open door around here with me if you went to Pensacola High School.
Okay, that's great. Now, mentoring these young men, like you have to be organized. Is that something you're trying to help these kids figure out? Organization, discipline, that's the whole point of playing sports,
yeah,
right?
Man, I think it just helps you in life. I look back at all the guys that played football with me. All those guys got pretty good jobs, and they know how to get up, go to work, be disciplined. Some of the things you learn as a grown-up, but you're learning that in high school. Be on time, to school. We're still working on that. Being on time to school, being on time 100%. To practice, meetings. If we have a holiday and we call for practice, being professional enough to show up.
Right.
Right. And our guys are starting to do that.
Okay. So to me, in a way, you're creating a cocoon for development around these kids. They got coaches that care about them. They got as things go, the classmates begin to care. They begin to say positive things to them when they're walking around. Teachers begin to care. the community's caring about what they're doing, and then they're seeing some success, which allows them to develop what you have, which is confidence.
That's right. And just uplifts the whole school. If you have successful football, I just believe it makes your whole school better.
Right, you're a multi-sport guy.
Yeah.
So you believe that you just got a new basketball coach over here?
Yeah, DJ Williams, we're excited about DJ.
Right.
He's going to coach inside linebackers. He's already here helping us right now. So, you know, he was just doing his interview yesterday, and he shows up today ready to work with the defense. They're meeting with the defense right now. You know, we're ecstatic about having DJ over here at PHS, you know. Right.
That's great because, I mean, we've both been around places that didn't necessarily love my best player that need to be over there doing that. Yeah. He needs to be over here doing this with us. And that's great that
our school's a little different. You know, we want all our guys that play football, if they're able to make the basketball team and help the basketball team, we want them to play basketball.
Right.
We want them to run track.
If you got a guy that can pitch,
we got a lot of multi-sport guys. So when football's over, they'll jump into basketball. You know, and we're hoping DJ shares basketball players with us. Because, you know, we're 3A, 1,000 kids, whatever we are. We got to share our guys. So we need coaches here on the campus that are all in together. You know?
That also lends for student body. Your football players are going to go to basketball games.
Yeah.
They're going to go to track meets. They're going to, watch us. And then now all of a sudden that sense of what we're talking about, community grows.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We want to put a good product on the field for the community.
Right.
Win, lose, drag, or draw. We want them leaving that stadium saying, "Man, them guys played hard all night."
Right.
You know, some nights we're not going to be the best team, but that don't mean we can't be in the football game.
Right.
Every one of them. You know, with a chance to win.
Awesome.
You know, that's just what we're going to do.
Right. Yeah. 100%. Wade, thank you for giving me your time.
Thanks,
this is Surrounded by Sports, folks. Thank you for watching this show with us. And we will see you again as the year begins to start and throughout the time. Thank you so much.
Okay, Perk. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Surrounded by Sports from PHS.